What's a frog's favorite drink?
What?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to the Hungry Squared podcast, where the brain and belly meet. I'm Sharon from the Wasatch Cooking Guide.
And I'm Winter from theredparty.com. This week, we are talking about fermentation with a special guest, Cristiano Creminelli from Creminelli Fine Meats.
Yeah.
I know, it's going to be awesome. Let's talk about it.
Hungry Squared, yeah, Hungry Squared.
Hey, Sharon, how's your week been?
It's been great.
Has it?
Yeah,
Did you eat anything good?
I did.
You did?
I ate some cheese this week with
anytime
some salami.
Anytime you eat cheese and meat, I think it's good.
This week we're interviewing Cristiano Creminelli, but I am a longtime fan of his meat, his salamis. And this week I ate a salami that was made with beehive gin. It was super good. And we had Midnight Moon cheese with it.
That's what it's called. Midnight Moon.
Mm-hmm. It's a goat cheese, and it's has a really smoky, almost like a Gouda flavor. Mm-hmm. So good.
Is it really goaty?
It is not really goaty.
Okay.
It is a firm cheese.
Oh, it is.
So it's not the typical texture of like your goat cheese loaf kind of thing.
Right. Those are usually
logs that you
soft.
get. Yeah. It's a firmer cheese. It's comparable to a regular Gouda, which is that hard cheddar almost. Yeah. So yeah, but it has like a Gouda flavor to it almost, but it's a goat cheese. And so because it's a goat cheese, you just get this extra flavor with it. Mm-hmm. It just provides an extra depth of flavor that I really love.
Nice.
What did you eat this week?
I've mentioned her before, and I actually don't think I've ever said her name or given her a little code name for her. So I'm going to code name her because I mentioned her a ton. This is my friend that is a vegan.
Oh, hi.
So I'm going to call her Morse code, the vegan.
Morse code. Does
code.
she do Morse code?
No, she doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Morse code, the vegan. That's kind of funny. She'll laugh at that, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, so she invited us over for dinner. We had kind of been a little sick and she heard about it. And so she's like, hey, I'm making this 10-spice sweet potato soup.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to come over? We're like, yes, please. So we went over, Lee and Lucy and I, and we just had dinner with their family, and it was really good. And it was a vegan soup, and it had all these vegetables in it. So sweet potato, tomatoes, garbanzo beans,
yummy.
potatoes. It was really good. And then it was kind of this Cajun spiciness.
Oh, yeah. So that was the 10 spice.
Yeah, it was super flavorful. You would have really liked it. It was like it had a good amount of heat to it too.
Okay.
And Lucy devoured it. She just kept eating potatoes and garbanzo beans, and she
love
was
sweet potato soup,
carrots, and it was really tasty. And then we paired it with some grilled cheese sandwiches. So
yum.
Yeah, it was pretty darn tasty. So thanks, Morse Code, the vegan. Appreciate it so much.
And now for the main course.
Okay, well, let's get down to our topic at hand, which is
fermentation
and meat.
Yes. We had this great interview, you guys, and it was a great interview. We hope you love it. It was so much fun because Cristiano is a storyteller to the max. Now, if you don't know much about Cristiano and Creminelli Fine Meats, they are a company that is based here in Salt Lake City, Utah, and they make beautiful salamis.
They do, and they have nationwide distribution. They're distributed locally in Utah through Harmon's grocery store, and that's a local Utah chain. Nationally, they are distributed through Starbucks. Mm-hmm. You can find them in the cold case at Starbucks.
They have their sliced charcuterie. It's kind of it's
a little tray.
It's ready to go. It's a nice little snack.
It's yummy, and it's usually about $5. Yeah. It's a great lunch or breakfast on the go. If you are ever in Starbucks, grab one.
Yep.
And they're also distributed at Whole Foods grocery stores nationwide.
Yeah.
So, and they're in the little deli and like the meat and cheese counter.
Yeah.
That little corner. You should grab them there.
And they are multiple award-winning with their products. They have
beautiful.
many awards.
Yummy.
Yeah. And so we're really excited to let you guys hear this interview. It was such a fun interview, and you will love that. One thing that Sharon wanted to make a note of.
Yes. So after our interview, after we had turned our mics off and our recording equipment, and then we're like, dang it, we talked a little bit about cured and uncured meat. So when you find the labeling on a package of bacon, say, or a package of salami that says it's cured or it's uncured, when it says it's cured, that means that it's been treated with chemical nitrates in the preservation of the meat. So take your average package of hot dogs. They've got those chemical nitrates in it. When it says it's uncured, there are more naturally occurring nitrates, no chemicals. And so it's a more natural product. If you're a label reader, it's a healthier product.
Yeah.
We just wanted to put that out there and put it out there that Creminelli is uncured.
Yeah, because they
All
use
of their meats are uncured.
They don't have those chemical nitrates in it, and that is pretty appealing. I think it tastes better.
I totally agree with that. It tastes 100% better.
Okay, well, so on to our interview. We hope you guys enjoy it.
We're here today with Cristiano Creminelli from Creminelli Fine Meats. He is the founder and...
Let's say the chief artisan.
The chief artisan of Creminelli Fine Meats. We're excited to be talking to him today about fermentation and about salami and about the process.
Thank you so much for coming on today. We're so excited. We've been big fans. We are big fans.
Yes.
Good. Wonderful.
So, Cristiano, we actually went on a tour of your factory and got a bit of your back history of how you got started. And you guys, that is a really fascinating and wonderful story. And Cristiano, tell us how long you've been in the business.
Oh, I can tell you probably forever. I was actually born in the business. Not really born, because my mother was there to tie in salami and tell, oh, I need to go to the hospital.
No way.
Yeah, it's true. It's actually really real.
So your family has been doing this for 4 generations?
Yeah, first record we have is around the 16th century, so a little bit more actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they're verbal record. The first real record is actually 4 generations ago. Yeah, we start in a small town about the record, we start in a small town in the Lombardy region. It's called Gambara, really close to Brescia. And then, our family was like a nomad family, because until somebody developed the refrigeration, basically, you don't have a real refrigeration.
Right.
So the only way was to travel village by village and process the local pig and then move to the next one.
Oh, wow.
Until the 1907, if I recall well, when we start actually to have equipment, we can refrigerate the meat, so we can actually stop in one place. And we stop in Biella, close to the Alps in the top northwest of Italy.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's quite the history. I think he's been doing this all his life, basically.
Yeah.
And we would love to reference the Utah Foodie podcast, because they did a great history of how you guys started and how you started your business. And we absolutely enjoyed listening to that. So we encourage you guys to go check out the Utah Foodie podcast.
Yeah, it was done in January of 2016, I think.
Can we back up a little bit? So I like the idea. So before salamis, it really changed when refrigeration happened. Isn't that correct?
Yes. Yeah, before actually, to tell you a little bit the story about the salami, we can probably start around the Roman Empire, because is when the salami was born, is actually during the Roman Empire. What happened? Caesar conquered the Gaul, and actually for the first time they see this kind of technique the Gaul have to basically to preserve the meat.
Yes.
What they did was actually really simple. They grind the meat and then put under the sun and dehydrated. So it was, let's say, like a old beef jerky.
Yeah.
Pork jerky, sorry, not beef, pork jerky. But, the Roman, when they see the way the Gaul do this kind of stuff, they like a lot, because they increase a lot the shelf life of the meat. If you think like fresh meat without refrigeration, after, let's say, 4 or 5 days, you actually, the meat is not good again, and it's not good.
Exactly.
If you dehydrated the meat under the sun, you have actually probably like a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks of shelf life. Sometimes you can arrive a month. So for the Roman was a huge invention, because they travel all around Europe because they're
conquering, right? It's always war, and it always is about feeding the troops. We've talked about this before, so okay.
It was a huge problem. So they realized, okay, if we do this way, we can actually preserve the meat for a full month.
Yeah,
and they start also to add some spice. And the other way they grind the meat, but they need also to transport the meat. So they start to stuff the meat inside beef intestine, basically. Casing.
So that was the first casing then?
Was the first casing, actually. It was the first time that they stuff a salami. But it was not a fermented salami. It was just a dry, they just dry the meat. But what happened? They actually start to transport the salami with the cheese. So what they did actually a cross-contamination.
Oh.
They touch the cheese and they touch the salami. So they transfer bacteria from the cheese to the salami. And they did the first fermentation.
Oh.
Yeah, the funny thing is they don't realize what happened.
Yeah.
But they understand, okay, if I put the salami or the meat close to the cheese, my shelf life actually is not just 1 month, but become like 4, 5, 6 months.
Wow. Oh,
so that's how fermentation was discovered.
Yeah.
By accident.
Yeah, the fermentation of the salami for sure was the first time. Fermentation, I think the first time we hear about the fermentation was during the Egyptian, because they start to do beer, this kind of thing. So they know fermentation, but they actually don't know fermentation about meat. So actually the first people they start the real fermentation with the meat was the Roman guys, and they don't understand what happened, but they just realize, okay, we need to put with the cheese, because if we put with the cheese, the meat is going to be good for month and month, and we travel a lot and will be perfect. And this is where is born the first salami. The fermentation is a wonderful way to preserve the meat. It's also true they don't have any kind of refrigeration and anything, so happens a little bit later, during the Middle Age. Actually, they start to put inside the salami also some saltpeter, they call, basically nitrates,
Oh, okay.
Because it was the only way to preserve the meat in the best condition without any problem with the wrong bacteria attack the meat, So they start to add saltpeter, and so they take out one of the biggest disease happens in this time for if you eat dry cure meat, and was the botulins, basically.
Oh,
because if you put nitrates, then you're going to kill any kind of these bacteria.
Right.
Yeah. And then arriving to today, actually, we realize we don't really need nitrates, because a lot of the ingredients we use for making salami, they already have inside what we call like natural nitrates. The concentration is really, really, really low, but is enough to help the fermentation happens. And at the end, when you eat the salami, it is a totally natural product without any kind of added nitrates. So different step, but to arriving at today. Today we have a really wonderful product fermented without any kind of chemical nitrates inside, and little by little.
Wow. Kind of talking a little bit about not adding nitrates also, can we talk a little bit about the animals? Like, I know that your logo is your salamis are crafted with kindness. And so can we talk a little bit about how you guys work with the farmers that you do, and what your philosophy is with the animal, actually, that the animals that you choose?
Yeah, I need to be honest. We are lucky because here in US, actually, this wonderful farmer, they really understand the difference between an animal like treat in the best condition possible than, let's say, commercial animal. They are not really treated in the best way possible.
Right.
So when we start this kind of program, we find a lot of farmers actually really happy to come in the program. And we start with, when we start was like 50, 60 farmer. Right now is more than 150, and is increasing and increasing because they like the idea. Craft with kindness, one means like animal, they are like us. We are animal, and so they react like us. If they live in a stressful environment or not in a best condition, they start to suffer, and they start to don't have a good life, and so they produce not really a wonderful meat because they are animals. So all the stress, all the adrenaline,
the cortisol.
You can
probably
taste that stressed out animal versus a happy animal, is what you're saying.
A lot. Yeah, believe me. And you can see also the difference with your eye. In the first things, when you see the meat of really an animal like treated in the best possible condition, you see the meat is really nice, is marbling, is a nice pink color, a little bit on the red, but more on the pink. When you see a stressful animal, first things you see, there is a lot of little red dot in the meat, because, especially pig, they are really sensitive. If they feel something of wrong, the blood pressure going up a little bit, and the little vessel, they pop, because, like us, because they are stressed. And so in the meat, you see all this kind of little dot of blood, basically.
Is that like the bursted blood vessel?
Yeah. Exactly, something like. Yeah, it's not so aggressive, like I tell you, because, but you can spot this kind of things, and so the quality of the meat is not okay. But then the quality of life is really important. Actually, I want to tell you a little story about. I have a really good friend in Novara. Novara is a town. Really, is between basically Turin and Milan. Mm-hmm. If you are a cheese lover, you know Novara because it's the town of the Gorgonzola,
yes.
the Italian blue cheese, and really famous for Gorgonzola. And because they do a lot of cheese, they have a lot of serum, the part they don't use of the milk.
Oh, uh-huh.
So they have a lot of farmer. They raise animal with cereal, with herbs, but also with a little bit of this part of the milk, One of these farmers is a really good friend. And he's the kind of guy, you don't want to cut any corner. He's like, I want to have the perfect condition for my animal. I want the animal live the perfect life, because I know they're going to produce wonderful meat, and I love this idea. And you have a huge, enormous farm outside Novara, but the quality of the meat was not in the way he liked. So he called me like, Cristiano, can you come and let's check together, because I check everything. I don't understand really what happened. And, this farm, like I tell you, is amazing. I tell you, there is a huge barn open, so that the animal can decide if they want to sleep inside the barn or outside. They are totally free to do what they want. And, they like actually to go inside the barn, especially in the winter time, because it's a little bit more warmer and they feel more comfortable.
Sure.
The problem was the barn itself, because the barn was so close to a big road. And also during the night, there is truck go up and down.
Oh.
The noise scared the animal.
Yeah.
And the animal, they are stressed about the scare. And
they don't like the barn.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he just closed the barn and basically moved the animal in another side of the farm, really far away from the street, and the quality of the meat changed drastically. Just because this is what I want to tell you. They're really sensitive animals. So treat animal with the best way possible. You're going to see the difference. I always tell, happy pigs make wonderful meat. So when I tell our pig, they live with the family. They have toy. They can decide if they're going outside, live outside and inside. People watch me like, yeah, you are sure what you tell? Yes, because happy pigs make wonderful meat, believe me.
Yeah.
And there is farmer, they understand the process, and they come on board. We are more than happy to pay a little bit of premium, because we know raise animal in this kind of way is a lot more expensive than a regular way, let's say. But at the end, our client, when they taste the salami, they tell, I taste the difference.
There's a difference.
Yes. So we are more than happy to do in this way.
That's awesome.
Yes. So it'd be crazy, but it's true. Huh?
So is all of your meat organic then? In that way?
It's not really organic. It's all natural. And I tell you why. Unfortunately, the organic part of raising a pig is really small. We don't find all the food we need. We don't find all the land we need to be sure we are going to be supplied with all the pigs we need in if they are raised in an organic way. So there is another little step just really close to organic called all natural. So basically they are 100% vegetarian feed. They live in open condition. They have wonderful food. Most of the time actually is organic food, but there is always one little piece missing, and this is why we can't really call organic.
Get the stamp of organic per se. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes, in some time of the year we want to give some alpha herbs because they feel better. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes we are able to find all the alpha we need organic, sometimes no. But doesn't mean it's actually not organic. It means just they don't have the stamp.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like you tell. So all natural, I tell you, is a really, really high quality of meat.
Yeah.
What about antibiotic? Do those play a part into the meat?
Right now in US, actually, and I'm really happy, is not possible to give antibiotics to the animal in the way like they did in the past. It's more like a treatment. But because it's not regulated, still a lot of people give also extra antibiotics also when an animal, they don't need the antibiotics. For us, our pigs, they need to be, we call never ever. So they never take an antibiotics.
Oh,
why we
excellent.
are so, but I tell you, because people tell like why, is because it's like everybody right now, they don't want to hear there is antibiotics in the meat. Not really. We work with bacteria. Antibiotics kill bacteria.
Yeah.
So we need really, really clean meat. If the pigs takes antibiotics, our fermentation is not going to work in the way we want.
Right.
We have anomalous fermentation, and we are not able to replicate the flavor our client like. This is why our animal, they are never ever. They never take an antibiotics. If the animal, they are sick, they are treated with antibiotics, but they are put in another category, let's say, like always all natural, but not never ever.
Wow.
Okay. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's actually a nice segue to talk about the actual process of making salami, because one thing I was super interested about, especially since we love to talk about food science, is the entire fermentation process. So can we jump into that, and can you kind of walk us through start to finish of how the fermentation process happens?
Sure. Fermentation is actually, like we tell like 10 minutes ago, is a totally natural process to preserve and to change texture and flavor of a lot of different elements. If you think there is a lot of food fermented, and probably is the best food ever, no? Like salami for me for sure, but then cheese, I don't know, bread, pickle, and then if we go in the wine and beer, you know, like, we can find a lot of different things like we like a lot, and they are fermented. Basically, the process is really similar. What we do, we create in the meat, there's the perfect environment for the bacteria we like. The bacteria we like are the same family of the bacteria you find in the cheese, so the lactobacillus. But we use the lactobacillus, say, like is like a big family. Then there is a lot of different kind of bacteria inside. So let's say the bacteria we used to do in the salami, they are not exactly the same you use for making the cheese. They are a little bit more different because they are working better with the meat. So we usually use this bacteria. We prepare a starter culture made with this bacteria, and we put the starter culture inside the meat. We grind, we put the spice. Then we don't need actually to add anything to the meat itself. Why? Because bacteria, to be able to ferment, they need basically 3 really important things. One is food. The second is humidity. And the third one is temperature.
Okay.
So food, actually, we provide food for the bacteria. And actually, I want to open a little parenthesis here. Like, if you see our salami and you check in the ingredients, you see there is sugar.
Yes.
But when you go in the nutritional fact and you check, sugar is 0. Why? Because actually we use a little bit of sugar in our salami, but it's just used to feed the bacteria. So at the end of the fermentation, there is no more
There's
sugar.
no more, because it's been completely metabolized by the bacteria.
Exactly.
So they can do what they need to do.
Exactly. Let's say we want to help this guy, especially in the first day, to be sure they're going to win the battle against any kind of other bacteria, and they're going to ferment the salami in the way we want. And the best way to do is to give the perfect food. Then they need humidity, but actually we don't need to supply water. Why? Because meat is full of water inside.
Right.
So they find all the humidity they want. Then the other things is temperature. So bacteria like a lot temperature around 70, 72 degrees. And this is what we do. We put in a particular cell where we can control humidity and temperature. And for the first 24 hours, we give 70, 72 degrees. So for the bacteria, we can sell is like Disneyland. You know, they find everything they like.
Woohoo!
Yeah, incredible. Like they grow like crazy. And they eat sugar, and when they eat the sugar, actually, the bacteria process the sugar and produce lactic acid. So lactic acid, actually, from the word, you can understand it's an acid. So what happened? They're going to lower the pH of the meat. I need to talk about a little bit about the pH a little bit, just because maybe not everybody are really familiar with the pH. So a neutral pH is around 7.
Yep.
So that means like nothing is too acid or too basic. Meat is usually a little bit more acid because our body, like animal body, they work really better when they have a little bit of acidity environment. So the meat is around 6, 5.8 to give you an idea. We know 6, 5.8 or 6 is the perfect environment, not just for our body, for the meat itself, but also for the bacteria.
Oh.
Yeah, because they like a lot, but all the kind of the bacteria, also the bacteria we don't like. So when our bacteria, the one actually we like, Lactobacillus, eat the sugar and produce the lactic acid, they're going to lower drastically the pH. So the pH is, let's say, around 5.8, is going down sometime also to 5, sometime to 4.8. So something little acid like a lemon, to give you an idea.
Oh, okay.
A lot acid.
Really acid.
And it's a drastic change because happens, let's say, in a worst case scenario in 24 hours, but usually it's a 12, 14 hour already happened this kind of change. So what happened? The bacteria we like, the Lactobacillus, they are able to survive this change because basically they produce this kind of lactic acid. So it's the perfect environment for this guy. But all the other wrong bacteria, and we can name probably the 3 worst one, like Salmonella, E. coli, and Listeria. Listeria was the third one. They are not able actually to survive this kind of environment. So they're going to die. This is why it's amazing, the fermentation, because you're not going to change the flavor and the texture of the meat, but you're going to create an environment where all the other bacteria, they're going to die. So you make the salami super safe without any problem. But 4.85 of pH is really acid. So you don't want to eat a salami with this kind of acidity. Yeah, we'll be like, no, I don't like. So we know how much sugar we put inside. We know more or less the bacteria, they're going to finish, let's say in 16, 18 hours, they're going to finish the sugar. When we touch the 18 hour, we start to go down with the temperature and we start to take out humidity. So the 3 things the bacteria like, sugar is gone. Because they eat everything.
Right.
Humidity, we start to take out humidity, so become really dry. They don't have the water they like. And the third thing, the temperature, is not really, again, like 70 degrees, but is going like more like 60. So not really the temperature of the bacteria they like. So basically what they do, they start to make the metabolize the meat a lot slower, and they produce a lot less lactic acid. So we have a phenomenon we call the rebound. The pH start to grow again and go again around 5.4, 5.5, and the salami becomes sweet again.
Really?
Yeah, so it's a curve.
It just the pH drops, and then once you guys withdraw the things that they need, will go right back up. Just because they, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting, and if you see, it's a totally natural way to do the things, because you don't need to put any kind of preservative on anything. Actually, it's the fermentation itself is going to take care of the wrong stuff. I need to be totally honest with you. Before we use meat, we are going to control 10 times probably before going to use, to be sure there is a totally clean meat.
Yeah.
And not just from us, usually also our supplier and the farmer himself, they do all the control. So it actually is not really going to happen. But let's say at the night we sleep really well because we know also if we miss just one of this guy, he's going to die during the fermentation.
Right.
This is why the salami is considered a shelf-stable meat. Also, if the maximum temperature we reach is 70. So we don't really cook the meat.
Yeah.
But with this fermentation process, we totally clean the salami, and then you can preserve for a long time. You can keep the salami for, I think right now, with our packaging right now, we are able to give a 9 months of shelf life, and you are sure it's totally safe. This is the funny things I tell to everybody. After the fermentation, if you take a salami and you put under the sun for a full day, and you're going to eat, will be totally safe. Probably not so good, but totally safe.
Yeah.
And it is an incredible way. And in the meantime, is going also to change not just the flavor, but also the texture. So the salami become more like, the fat become like more like butter, The meat become a little bit more consistent. And when you put in your mouth, actually, you are not really able to find the difference between fat and lean, and everything is melting and
together.
Cover your mouth with a lot of flavor, hopefully.
Yeah.
Nice.
So when the fermentation process is done, and so you say that happens within 16 hours.
Yeah.
You'd say. You take out your humidity, your temperature, and your food source, I guess, right? They've eaten it all up. And then are they moved to different cells that they progress through?
Yeah, it's really important. Actually, we have two different kinds of cell. One is we call dry cell, but actually is a fermentation room. And the other one is the aging room. So the salami usually stay around 4 days in the first cell because we do the fermentation, but then we still need to take out a lot of humidity.
Right.
Because if you think like salami is inside, there is like when we start, there's really like 80-90% is humidity inside the salami. And we need to dry out this humidity because then at the end, people don't like when the meat is really soft, look like really...
Yeah. The texture,
it's
not quite right.
Yeah, exactly. So the other 3 days, usually they are just to dry the salami, take out the humidity. Then we move the salami in the aging room. In the aging room, the salami can stay for a long time. It's a question of diameter, actually. Smaller is the diameter, less time the salami stay in the cell. So when you see salami like 4, 5, 6 inch of diameter, they actually probably stay in the cell around 4 or 5 months in the aging room. Just because they need to finish the fermentation. Actually, the fermentation is not really the right things to tell. They need to finish the affinage, like the salami, like the cheese, and they need to develop the regular flavor of the salami. And this one takes some time. Why? Because, the casing we use around the salami is a totally natural casing.
Okay.
And is able to, the water is actually able from the inside, the meat go outside and then evaporate. Mm-hmm. But, is really dense, a salami. If you think the meat in the center is actually more humid usually than the one on the border of the salami, So we need to leave the time to the water to migrate from the center to the very end and then evaporate.
Gotcha.
This is why it takes time. In the same time, all around the salami grow the mold. And I'm a huge fan of the mold, I need to tell you. Because I recall the first time I come here in US and I show to USDA what I want to do and they see mold on top of the salami.
And they're like, no way, right?
No, they shake me my hand and they tell you, you can take the next plane and go back because there is no way you can do.
Tell us about the mold though. How is the mold important and what kinds of mold, like what colors of the mold are you seeing?
Yeah, actually the color...
best ones to work with and things.
Yeah, you actually center the point. The color of the mold is really important because from the color you can understand if you're working well or not. Let's say mold in the perfect environment is totally white, really white like snow.
Oh, okay.
Really white and fluffy. But the mold react a lot with the humidity. So if you are higher humidity, the mold become like first gray, then green, then sometimes become like blue.
Right.
And if there is really a lot of humidity, become black.
Ew.
Yeah, but believe me, it's not really a problem in itself. It's just the mold
just
reacting
the
with the... Yeah.
Okay.
So I tell to everybody, like, you don't like you have a salami inside your refrigerator and you see like black spot or mold like blue, you don't feel comfortable. Just take the salami, open the water, cold water, not hot, because if you put the salami under the hot water, you're going to cook the salami.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cold water and wash out. Because you're going to wash the mold you don't like.
Just right off the rind.
Yes, easy. And then you take a piece of textile or or something like you take out the water, you put in your refrigerator, and you see in a couple of days the mold grow again and will be white.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you need to think about the mold like a tree. So there is the root there inside the salami, and the white stuff you see there are the leaves. So it's like a tree. If you take out the leaves, the tree is still there.
Okay.
They're going to put more
Just
leaves. And why it's so important? Because it's made in this way, like I tell you. So the mold is able to absorb acidity, because this is what they need from the inside of the salami, process the acidity and deliver ammonia to the air, Why we like the mold. It's just because the salami, more time you have the mold around the salami, sweeter will be the salami because it's going to absorb acidity.
Some of the acidity and bring it back more to a neutral pH.
So, we know when the food is neutral and we put in our mouth, we feel nicer, like it's better, is nice. So this is the same things of the salami. This is why also when we package our salami, we wait until the last second to wash the salami, and then we cover with a little bit of rice flour on the top, but we don't really take out all the mold because we know the mold is actually start to growing again inside our packaging really, really slowly. So when you open, you don't have a surprise of a salami full of mold. And actually, you're going to taste the best salami possible. Sometimes it's also true, and I need to tell you because I have this question a lot of time. When people open a package of salami, the first 2-3 seconds, you can feel a little bit of ammonia smell.
Yes.
But that's just because it's just letting out the byproducts from... Okay.
But if you take just out of the packaging and you leave on your countertop for 1 minute, just 1 minute, all the ammonia is gone because it's just in the air, inside the packaging. Then you peel the salami. When you peel the salami, you take out everything, and then you're going to eat the salami. This is why, with this kind of process, the salami never expires. Between the fermentation and the mold, basically, we need to give a shelf life, but actually never expire. The only problem, more they become old and more they become hard. So this is why we tell 9 months.
Right.
Because after 9 months, you still have a wonderful salami, but you need a slicer.
Yeah.
Or you will be not able to eat the salami.
Right.
Because you need to slice super thin, and then you have a wonderful flavor and everything. But if you slice with your knife, you will be not able to slice really thin, and when you put in your mouth, it's more like a piece of wood,
Right. It'll be a little bit too hard to process.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so interesting. I had no idea that was how mold played into it.
Yeah, it's really fun because I tell you, sometime I have a question also because sometimes you have mold with more interesting color, let's say this way.
Yeah.
Like yellow, orange. And actually when you touch this mold is usually like slimy. I don't know how to tell you different, but usually is because the mold don't have a lot of oxygen. Happens when the salami touch another things, can be the inside of the refrigerator, or can be another salami, or can be, I don't know. And basically this part of the salami is not able to breathe. The mold itself is not able to breathe. So it's going to turn in yellow because become like anaerobic.
Okay.
But again, you wash under the water, you put inside the refrigerator, and will be okay again. So it's never actually going to impact the flavor of the salami.
Right.
It's always, the only way is when you see like red mold. But I see, I'm Italian, so when I tell red is Ferrari red.
Oh,
really red.
Okay.
But I tell you, it's not going to happen. When you see red mold, it's because there is some anomalous fermentation. But it's impossible. Why? Because we release our salami when they reach an activity water of 0.88. What means activity water? Basically, the quantity of water inside the salami itself.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We test the salami, every single lot and batch before release. And we know after 0.92, there is not enough water for this kind of bad mold to grow.
To actually continue growing. Okay.
So we are totally sure when we release, you're not going to have any problem.
Wow, there's so much science to this. Okay, so I have a couple of other questions. Why did you choose to come to Utah?
But usually,
I mean, like that just seems. I know that there's a little bit of history in it, but I know that isn't there a reason why you chose Utah specifically for its climate?
Yeah. Usually I tell when I have this question, usually I tell because I like the nightlife in Utah. So people start to watch me like,
that's a really good.
Like it's so nice in Utah. Yeah, what do you think? Like come in Utah and you will see. No, it's the climate. It's true. I really like if I can to be a little bit green, if it's possible, usually a bit of less energy and everything. And here is the perfect environment to actually age the salami. Why? Utah is so dry.
Right.
So basically I can work for, let's say, 8-9 months a year without using energy to decrease the humidity inside the cell. I need just to change the air from the one inside to the one outside, and it's done, because the one outside is really, really dry.
Yeah.
I have a lot of filtration. Don't worry.
Right.
I know especially in January here, the climate is not so, the pollution is not so wonderful.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have filtration system. And actually, this is why we choose Utah. To be green, sure, but also because it's probably more close to the area where I work in Italy. So I know how to manage the salami in this way. Basically, drier is the place, better will be to aging salami. The salami, they never need humidity. They already have a lot of humidity inside.
Right.
So the only things you need is to take out humidity. And if you already have a dry environment, it's perfect. So if you come to visit our factory, you will see every single engine, let's call this way, of every single aging room and drying room, have a huge pipe go on the roof, just because, again, like we are able to use a lot of time just the outside environment without doing anything of particular.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And then also, it's not just a question of the dry climate, but Utah is in a strategic position for me, honestly. Like,
how so?
Yeah. in the sense, like all around us, all the state around us, there is the farmer. They raise the animal the animal in the way we like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we are really close to this guy. So I can use all the time fresh meat.
Right.
I don't want to use frozen meat.
Right.
This is imperative for me. Frozen meat, unfortunately, lose part of the flavor, part of the interesting flavor, let's say this way, of the meat. So if you are able to process just fresh meat, you're going to preserve more flavor and your salami will be a lot better. And this is why it's strategic, because, here, if you think with between the 15 and the 80, we can reach...
Those are our major roads here.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
We can reach,
You're
let's
close
say...
to all the farms.
Yeah, like in Iowa, Idaho, Nebraska,
It's just all...
Yeah, they're not
pretty
really
close,
far away
actually.
from us. 1 day of truck, 1 day and a half. So I can actually work always with fresh meat.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really important.
You really chose that well.
Takes a little bit of time, I tell you. When we come here, we travel a little bit all around the US. Takes a 9 months actually to choose the perfect location. And honestly, it was between 3 different states: Utah, Colorado, and Arizona.
Oh.
Yeah, because the same climate,
exactly.
We discard Arizona because at the end it's too hot. So we're going to use a ton of energy just for refrigeration.
Right.
And then between Utah and Colorado, we choose Utah just because, honestly, they have a wonderful way to help you if you want to start a new company. There is a lot of company who work with the state, work with the country, and they help you to find people where you can talk and acquire information and everything. So this is actually why we decide to start here.
That's
also.
great. I agree. I think Utah does have a really entrepreneurial spirit about it. They are willing to help people out.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm glad you chose Utah.
Yeah, no, it's a nice place. Nice. I like a lot.
Okay, so obviously we've talked about the fermentation process. Now let's talk about how we're supposed to eat salami.
Oh, okay.
Is there a
way to eat it?
Yeah.
Should I tear off my casing in a certain way? Sometimes it's hard to remove.
Yeah, sometimes it's true. But I want to tell you a trick also to remove the casing really fast. First, I want to tell you one thing. In Italy, salami is an antipasto. Antipasto is a Latin word, means antepastum, before it. So this is why we have antipasto, because in Italy, we like pasta. But takes 12 minutes before the pasta is ready. So what we do in these 12 minutes? We need to have something to do. A little piece of cheese and a little bit of salami. So it's an everyday food. Okay. Like in Italy, salami, they are eat every day and twice a day. Just in the time you wait for your pasta to be ready. And then, there is really a way to eat the salami. Not really, it's really versatile. You can eat with a lot of stuff. You can eat alone. Sometimes in the summertime, I like to slice really thick slice and then make cube and put in the pasta salad or in the salad or and sometimes when it's really younger I like to slice a little bit thicker and fry like a cutlet is amazing. I tell you, with polenta so there is really a lot of way. And to give you the trick about the casing, because I know sometimes it's hard, it's a question of humidity. Here in Utah it's really hard. But if you go in California, for example, we have a friend in California, they tell me to take out the casing is super easy. Yes, because it's so humid, so you don't have any problem. Here in Utah is harder because, you open the salami. So what you do, take a piece of textile or a piece of paper, put under the water, then you squeeze really well the water, then you wrap the salami for 1 minute. So the casing is going to absorb a little bit of humidity.
Kind of softens
and then
up.
You peel like a banana. Super easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that when I go home.
Yeah, very, very easy. Like I know because a lot of people, they become a little bit frustrated and tell like, why you don't use a synthetic casing? So it's so easy to peel. Like, I don't like synthetic, sorry.
Yeah.
But I tell you the trick to clean
I'm
salami
excited
to take
about
out
that.
the casing. Yeah.
I've got one in my fridge that I want to eat, but I'm like, oh, I have to peel the casing.
Yeah, no, do this way. Actually, I tell you, is very, very easy. But then right now we do also another version, a little bit more like for people. I don't want to peel the salami and I don't want to slice the salami because sometimes, there is some day you really don't like to do anything.
Then you buy the little charcuterie trays.
Yeah.
The slice charcuterie.
Yeah, we start to do the slice tray. So you need just to open and it's ready. So
those are so nice. We took them to a concert in the park. It was like the easiest and best thing.
I love that they're at Starbucks. So now whenever I want to go to Starbucks, there's one right there. You can just pick up with your coffee.
Yeah, no, I tell you, probably, you can't see me, but if people can see me, they can see from my profile. I'm really I like a lot salami. Like I think they're wonderful food. Sometimes I eat too much. And, happens.
One last question, kind of one last final question, I think, because we've really enjoyed this. This has been very informational and kind of cool.
Yeah, I've learned a lot.
Yeah. So I'm Chinese. I never ate salami when I was growing up. But when I first saw salami, I thought it was pepperoni. Is that the same thing?
Okay. Yeah. There is a funny story to tell about the pepperoni. Yeah, actually, first I need to tell you, I'm totally in love with the Chinese culture of pig because they do amazing stuff. Honestly, like when I want to eat pig, cooking the right way.
Oh yeah,
this is where I go. Sometimes sometimes you are afraid to ask what kind of part of the pig is.
Yeah,
because they use everything.
Yeah,
but it's amazing.
Yeah, you shouldn't ask.
You need just to eat, and in fact, this is what I do. Amazing. Like sometimes they're like, "What? You are able to do things like this? Like incredible." About the pepperoni, yes, actually, there is a little story. And, is a story happens like a couple of centuries ago. In Italy, we have a really, really bad economy. So in the south of Italy, a lot of people, they start to have problem to maintain the family. Actually, there is no work, there is no food, and it was a really critical situation. Then they start to hear about this nation in the other side of the world, like a wonderful nation. If you want to work hard, you can have a wonderful future for you, for your family, and you can, you can really have a wonderful time. And so people start to come here in US, and there is these funny things is happens more, this kind of problem in Italy happens more in the south of Italy than the north. Mm-hmm. The north is a little bit more like more industry, let's say. So they come and they land all around New Jersey. You know why? Because if you drive a line from New Jersey straight, you will see you land in Naples. Perfectly straight. Okay. So, we're Italian. We want to stay close to home than possible. Like, we don't want to have our mama so far away. No, let's stay close in the New
Jersey.
Yeah. So, all the Italian community, basically was all around New York, New Jersey, this area. And there is actually some area, 50% of the population was Italian. So, they don't need to learn English. Why? Because you go to the store and there is an Italian store. And
helping
there is
you and
yeah, and there is a lot of people actually, the new generation, sure, but the old generation, they still talk in Italian. This is what the first things. The second things, when they come here in US, they import the first religion of Italy. And the first religion of Italy. A lot of people think we are Catholics. And I tell, yes, we are 99.9% Catholics. But we have 100% foodie. No way. Like in Italy, food is centric. We live around food. Mm-hmm. We close the store between noon to 2 o'clock because people, they work inside the store, they go home to eat with the family because it's important.
Yeah.
And we spend 1 hour around the table, not less. So, they import the food they do because they think like an Italian also right now think the Italian is the best food. Point. There is no other food like the Italian one. I know because I have friends, they come here in US, and when they land in Salt Lake, the first question they ask me, but there is a good Italian restaurant here, or what I have to do? Usually it's the first question. So, yeah. And probably the most important, the most famous, let's say, Italian food is pizza. Pizza is really well known probably in all the world. And they know and they do this amazing pizza. It's called pizza e pepperoni. In the south of Italy, they're really special, this kind of pizza. But, they present the pizza to the American, they tell, okay, pizza e pepperoni. But you need to think like an Italian, not like an American. Mm-hmm. The most important ingredient on top of the pizza is not the meat, is the vegetable.
Oh. Yeah,
so if you go in Italy and you ask for a pepperoni, they ask you, you want the yellow one, the green one, or the red one? What? Yeah, because pepperoni in Italian means bell pepper.
Oh.
So on top of the pizza, there is bell pepper plus salami.
Oh.
At the contrary here, when the people, they speak English,
yes,
and the other one Italian, they see the pizza and the people tell pizza e pepperoni, they think, okay, the most important ingredient on top of the pizza is actually the meat.
The meat, and so that's got to be pepperoni.
This is why they start to call pepperoni. But actually the real name of the salami on top of the pizza is calabrese. Calabrese. Or piccante, depends where you go.
Okay.
But usually it's calabrese, and pepperoni is actually the bell pepper. So, yeah.
Okay,
but don't worry. I want to tell you the last things. If you go in Italy and you ask a pizza e pepperoni, they're going to give you a pizza with on top the salami. You know why? Because pizza e pepperoni is a word coming from US, so it's super cool.
Oh, really?
We're going to use
it. Super cool.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll still give you a pizza with salami on it.
Yeah, because we start to call pizza e pepperoni too.
Really?
Yeah, because we are really, US actually is a really influenced culture on the Italian culture. So yeah, we like a lot things arriving from US.
Well, that's great, and this has been amazing. Thank you so much for the time today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, because you are a scientist. You're a food scientist, basically. And I think this is awesome, you guys, what you do here and the craft that you have created here and in Utah. We're grateful for it.
Thank you, Cristiano.
Thanks so much. I'm not really a scientist, but I tell you, I like a lot to eat. I call myself like a professional eater.
And that fuels what you make. So that's good. Well, thank you once again. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Thanks a lot.
Let's have a food fight.
Food fight, food fight, food fight, food fight. It's winter.
This is the segment where you can email us with your relationship questions relating to food. You can email us at hungrysquared@gmail.com.
Disclaimer, we are in no way professional relationship experts, but you should totally listen to us anyway. If you need professional help, please seek it out.
Food fight, the food fight segment of the show. Here we go.
Okay, Sharon, I think you have the question this week, right?
You
do. Printed it off.
Mm-hmm. So this was sent in by a listener who loves to cook.
Oh.
And they write, I have a lot of cookbooks. I was gifted a few over the holidays recently, and I am super grateful to my friends and family for remembering me and remembering my favorite hobby, which is cooking.
That is awesome.
But I have no idea what to do with all of these cookbooks.
Oh.
They're all beautiful, but it seems impractical to keep so many. What are some ways to honor both the gift and the giver without being a pack rat? Signed, too many books, not enough time.
Oh.
Thanks, ladies.
Okay, wait, quick question. She didn't say how many she had, right?
No, she just says a lot in all caps.
Okay.
So I guess a lot to some people, that's subjective.
Yeah, it totally is. That's why I was wondering about that.
But I'm assuming a lot means more than 10.
That is a lot.
Right? I mean,
some people have hundreds.
That's true. But she doesn't seem to be a collector, or she's not intending being a pack rat.
Yeah,
she's not intending to start a collection.
Right. Okay. I like to have less than more. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of,
I would consider myself a minimalist.
Yeah. We're trying to do the apartment therapy January cure thing again, and so we're decluttering. Mm-hmm. Taking out stuff that has served its purpose and thanking it, like in the
like the Marie Kondo, like thank your house, thank your possessions.
And we did this last year because I was looking at our cookbooks and we had reached a whole new level of cookbooksness. Yeah. That's not a word. Sorry, guys. And it was getting out of control. I will tell you this right now. I had not touched a good 3/4 of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I recently moved, I moved a couple months ago. I went through my cookbooks again, and I had already gone through them earlier that year in the January year. Yeah. So it was about 7-8 months had passed since January, and then I went through my books again, and I got rid of a few more.
Did you?
Because I consider myself a minimalist. Like, I'm happy to give my books away. Like, I'm happy to purchase a new book and then loan it to a friend / give it to a friend, or just, and have them pass it on or keep it. So the cookbooks, I like to use what I have.
Yes.
People have given me some cookbooks and some that were really precious to them, but
You didn't use them.
If I don't use them, I give them away. I mean, I don't throw them away, but I'll donate them to either like a used bookstore,
right,
to a person who I know would like it, and would want it, or I'll just give it to like Goodwill.
So I have a question then, Sharon, kind of to branch off from this then. She's received several cookbooks at Christmas, I'm assuming, and she now needs to know what to do with them. Do you have an approach to a cookbook? Because I do. I do. A new cookbook.
Yeah. So my approach is I thumb through it and look at the recipes and kind of decide, do these seem like things that I would make and that I don't already have? Because sometimes I already have a decent recipe for a type of soup that's in there. And I'll look at it and say, well, what's different about this one and stuff? Oh, that's a tweak I could make, or this is totally different. And so I kind of look at the recipes and see if I'm excited about them. I also challenge myself to make one.
Just any one.
A random one. And it has to be something that I've never made before. Something that's exciting to me. If it goes well, then I'll make another recipe in the book. The book overall has to be something that like is interesting to me.
Yeah, I was going to say
some of them aren't very interesting to me, even though they're still beautiful.
Yeah. I like to read recipes as well, because sometimes I've read recipes and I was like, this is terribly written, because there is an art.
Yes.
There is an art to writing a recipe. There, like I said, there have been a few that I've written, I've read, and I'm like, I totally missed that step because it's embedded down in the way it was split out in the ingredient list or whatever.
Or they list an ingredient and they never put it in the recipe.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to incorporate it wherever.
And you're like, I didn't buy that. But I need to be able to read it and feel like I can understand it and do the recipe.
You've also suggested something in the past to me that was really intriguing. That's having a cookbook book club.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's something that you could totally do with all of these cookbooks that you just received, is you could all decide to make a recipe from one of your new cookbooks, gather some friends,
have a fun potluck.
And have a fun potluck and make some recipes from that book. Pass the same book around for the book club. Yeah. And whoever loves the book the most can keep it. Or if you guys decide to, that's a good book, but it's not a great book. It's a donating book.
Yeah.
Like none of us want it.
I was going to say, you can decide if the food was good because you will have made it. And if it turned out well or not, it needs to be able to speak to maybe all levels of ability, because you will get, I'm sure, a variety of cooks.
Yeah. And everybody has their own take on things. And so you can have an expert level cook in your group and a beginner level cook in your group. And so they're both going to have a different opinion of that book.
That's a fun little idea. And plus that gives you a chance to meet with your friends.
Yeah.
And cook.
And I think that honors both the gift and the giver.
Yes.
It honors their sentiment and remembering and thinking about you.
It's not a bad thing to let something go if it's not going to, don't let it weigh you down.
Yeah. And the person that gave that gift to you doesn't want you to be weighed down.
Yeah.
They wanted to honor you and your affinity for cooking by giving that to you.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, then I think it's okay to let it go
totally
and give
fine.
it a new home,
a new place to
good home.
Thrive. Yeah. I like that.
Thanks for joining us today on our show. You can find us at hungrysquare.com, on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music.
You guys, if you wouldn't mind leaving us a rating and review on iTunes, that would totally help us out. We love to hear what we can do better also. So if there's anything that you're like, oh my gosh, those guys need to stop doing this, then we'll try and do that.
Thanks for being a member of our food nerd community.
Yay, it's been so much fun.
I love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry squared, yeah, hungry squared.